All right, well, to speak for yourself, I'm Jason Whitlock. That's Marcellus Wiley, that dude.
Yes, sir.
Coming up, we'll tell you if the Cowboys are in trouble after getting shut out yesterday.
And what Nick Foles' big night says about Carson Wentz. But we start every day with a Whitlock. So what you got today?
For those of you who hate the Patriots, the people who have been waiting for the better part of 2 decades for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady to be brought down a peg, I say be very careful. Very careful. Tamp down your excitement. Don't fall for the okie doke. Yesterday's 17-10 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers isn't necessarily the beginning of the end. In Hollywood script writing, what transpired Sunday at Heinz Field is what is known as the third act twist. Let me explain it in terms of the original Rocky movie. Brady and Belichick are Apollo Creed, the undisputed long-reigning heavyweight champions of the football world. Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin are Rocky Balboa, the long-suffering contender from Pennsylvania. Yesterday's game was the third act twist, the scene where Rocky knocks down Apollo in the first round and elevates the intensity and emotion of the movie's conclusion. But you have to remember, Apollo Creed won the fight. He retained his belt. There are 2 weeks left in their regular season. There are 19 teams still in the playoff hunt. Find me a team and a coach and a quarterback you trust more than the Patriots, than Belichick and Brady. Go ahead. I'll wait. Please don't say the Steelers. New England was awful yesterday and still had a drive at the end of the game to force overtime. You trust the Chiefs, Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes in the postseason?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? The Patriots beat Kansas City in the regular season. Phillip Rivers and the Chargers? That's like trusting Tim Tebow and AC Green on your wedding night. Never done it.
Chill out, bro.
Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, and a wishbone offense? Please. The teams in the AFC South are the most interesting. Andrew Luck and the Colts look formidable. Belichick has problems against his former assistants, so Mike Vrabel's Titans and Bill O'Brien's Texans could cause some issues. But you're making a serious mistake if you're counting out the Patriots based on what you saw yesterday. You're making a mistake if you believe Tom Brady needs life alert. Yeah, Brady has fallen the last 2 weeks right before halftime, but he can damn sure get back up. He took a terrible sack against the Dolphins and tossed a terrible interception against the Steelers. It's the third act twist. That's all this is. You're being sucked deeper into the Patriots movie. You now believe there's a chance they'll lose early in the playoffs. They never made the Super Bowl without owning home field advantage throughout the playoffs. But you got to remember, Apollo Creed had never been knocked down in his career until Rocky landed a devastating left-hand uppercut in the first round of their first fight. Apollo Creed staggered to his feet. He looked vulnerable. Rocky served the arrogant champ his comeuppance, but the champ didn't fold. He rallied and won. It's way too early in the fight to count out the Patriots. All right, joining the desk now are Fox NFL analyst Michael Vick and Sean Merriman. Marcellus, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong? It's way too early to count out the Patriots.
I think you're wrong if you're saying it's way too early. We're going through the process of hearing, as I told you before, how the universe whispers before it yells. And right now, it's whispering. These Patriots ain't the same Patriots. A losing record on the road this year. That's only happened once before under Belichick and Brady. And what year was that? 2009, when they went 2-6. This year, they're 3-5. What happened in 2009 with these Patriots? My Pro Football Reference tells me they lost at home in the wild card round against the Baltimore Ravens. Whispers, huh? Let's talk about the penalties yesterday. The mistakes, second most in Belichick's tenure with the Patriots. 14 penalties. We're not hearing this team is undisciplined, but that certainly is not the character of the Patriots of old. So now they're making mistakes. They're not good away from Foxborough. And now you're talking about Tom Brady making untimely mistakes from their leader. We saw him throw a red zone interception. That hasn't happened in a couple of years. All these whispers start to accumulate to the point where you're like, someone's going to yell at us one day, Patriots have lost or the Patriots are not the same team. Whether they return to the pack or the pack has caught up to them, I wouldn't be surprised if these Patriots were one and done in the playoffs.
I'm not buying it at all. I mean, you're talking about your Whitlock, a Patriots hater. You sitting up here one right now. And I'll take a shot at them anytime I get an opportunity. All the time they done put us out of the playoffs, the AFC championship games and whatnot. But when the game is on the line, when it's time for them to win, they know how to win. That's the difference with this team. We've said every time they had a bad season or bad games, or a Wes Welker leaves and somebody else come in, they won't have anybody to throw to, they can't, and they find another way to win. That last game wasn't a must-win for them. They're locked. They're going, right? So it wasn't a must-win for them. I believe their mentality changes when the game is on the line. They get into a critical situation because they have more experience than anybody of this generation in playing in tight games.
I agree with you, Sean. I think for the New England Patriots, this is a time of the year when they normally drop a game, they lose one. Early in the year, they'll drop one, lose one, and then everybody's looking and talking like, is this team the team that we are used to seeing or accustomed to seeing? But, Tom Brady, he struggled yesterday. They looked sloppy. It didn't look good. Maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers was just on top of their game, and I'll give them that. They played a heck of a ball game. But the New England Patriots always find a way, come postseason, to make teams look average. And look, it's not the norm for them. We're not used to seeing that. But come playoff time, they're a different team. So I never count them out, especially this late in the season, knowing the postseason is right around the corner. Look, sometimes this team, this type of loss can make you a better team moving forward.
That's what I think in terms of, look, is the Patriots' great run over? Yeah, Brady's 41, Belichick maybe not as motivated as he used to be. But I'll go back to my Rocky analogy. It's like when Rocky called Apollo Creed, he's at the end of his career.
Yeah.
He's overlooking, getting a little sloppy, but he has that champion's know-how and grit. And what you ended up figuring out about Apollo Creed is like, man, he talked a lot of noise, and maybe you didn't like him and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, he was a good guy, stayed in the ring, was a champion, had great character, blah. And that eventually, I think, and I'm someone that started out the year like, hey, man, I think this will be the beginning of the end for Belichick.
Yes.
And I still believe that. But what I saw yesterday, with the Steelers desperate and at home, if they lose that game, basically their damn season's in jeopardy. They had more to lose than the Patriots, and they still struggled mightily to beat the Patriots on a day when the Patriots didn't even have their B game. Yeah. And so that's why I think when they get into the postseason, Belichick and Brady, but Brady in particular, are going to take it up a notch, and it's going to be one of those throwback moments that, to me, if I had to bet on them playing any of these teams in the AFC in the playoffs, and I don't care, home or road, I would still be like, Brady's going to figure out a way.
It's amazing that we're taking the same road of thought, but we're landing in different places. I agree with exactly what you guys are saying. But the reference point for the Patriots have never been the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've never used them as their litmus test, saying that's what type of team we are. We're better than them. We have their number. So the margin for error is slimmer than ever. Look at the Patriots in comparison to all the AFC top contenders. You don't see that space anymore. And if the Patriots weren't fully motivated yesterday, I don't know when they will be. They came off one of the most disgusting regular season losses in Miami. Talking about giving a game away, and we never like to focus in on one play, but there was one play that made the difference in that game. They came in fully motivated. And all of a sudden, they give confidence to a team that's going to be a potential contender and foe going forward. Look at this team when they're at home, and look at this team when they're on the road in the playoffs. The Patriots wanted to win this game because of these numbers right here. If you look at the Patriots, they're a completely different team at Foxborough and when they're away from Foxborough. So I think that they had that as motivation yesterday. They just came up short.
Yeah, the gap isn't big anymore, but they're going to win football games by any means necessary. They're going to be ugly wins, and we're not used to seeing that. We're used to the Patriots going in and beating everybody by a large margin. They're not that. You're right. They're not that team anymore. Tom Brady, if you want to be honest, in the last 6 years, he's never made a Patrick Mahomes throw. He's never made an Aaron Rodgers throw. He's never had that arm where he goes out. So people saying he's old, he's getting tired, it's later in the postseason. Tom Brady has never beat anybody with his arm.
But he beat you mentally, and you were beat.
Well, you're right. You're right. But he was
beat by the Patriots when they show up.
He's a great quarterback, and they find ways to win. But he didn't go and just light us up.
But isn't that something like the Mike Tyson parallel? There was a time where you lost the fight before you walked in the ring because Mike Tyson coming with the white towel on and the black shoes. Now, when the Patriots show up, teams are like, okay, you're not the old Patriots. It's a different mentality.
But to the Pittsburgh Steelers' credit, they get up for this game. Being a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers team, we played them opening game in 2015, and you talking about a game that they get up for because they know they could potentially see them down the road. So they want to leave a lasting impression on the New England Patriots as much as they can.
Look, this is the Steelers' regular season Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And to me, that when I was watching the game, I kept saying I was more unimpressed with Pittsburgh than I was New England. Again, Pittsburgh's at home, back against the wall. I'm not someone, there are people right now I'm sure gloating like, hey, Brady's starting to show age, and maybe he is. But not so much that where I think once they get into the postseason, he's not going to make these mistakes before halftime. He will never throw that red zone interception again. He's not going to take that sack he took in Miami, and Rob Gronkowski won't be on the Hail Mary defensive team when they can't even throw the balls to the end zone. So I look, the NFL to me has never been as wide open as it is right now.
Yeah. Say it.
Tell me the team that you feel overconfident about, like, oh, man, this team definitely is going to make a run in the playoffs.
Right.
Anybody can go out. And so if that's the case, and I got Belichick and Brady in a wide open league, who do I trust more than them?
Now we're into the position where it's not based on how good they are, it's how bad the others are.
Not even bad, just not trustworthy.
Okay, so here we go. Are you trusting Rob Gronkowski this year? Like, Rob Gronkowski is not the same player for whatever reason. And this could be the injury bug finally caught up to him, but he's out there in terms of health and availability, but he is not out there in terms of him having impact. Edelman's not having the same impact this year. So their formula for success, the Patriots were best at plan B. They get into the playoffs, you try to counter what they do best, they got another formula. I don't see their plan A working, let alone their plan B. What's going to change when we get into the regular season? They're going to flip the switch? I don't see it. There are a lot of teams who have better plan A's this year, and we'll figure out if they got the plan B. But the Patriots, they're off script from play one, it seems like.
The reason I feel like the Patriots will be so much better moving forward, especially in the postseason, I didn't have a chance to watch the Miami Dolphins game, nor do I know what type of scheme they run, but I know Mike Tomlin's scheme can be very difficult. And I played against him a couple times, so, you know, you see different looks and you see different zone blitzes, and it can get confusing. And, you know, in a game where it's a must-win, they're gonna bring pressure. Tom probably knew that. I think it didn't work in their favor, and I think it cost them to be a little overzealous as far as what they were trying to do.
All right, Tony Gonzalez joins us now. Congrats on your big night in Kansas City this past week. All right, next up, the Hall of Fame time for a big story. Let's move to Indianapolis, where Andrew Luck and the Colts put a stop to the Cowboys' 5-game winning streak yesterday in an embarrassing fashion, handing Dallas their first shutout since 2003. After looking like a new man the last 5 weeks, Dak Prescott turned back into a pumpkin, and even Ezekiel Elliott was held under 100 yards. Afterwards, Dak tried to put a positive spin on the loss.
If anything, we're all coming together saying, hey, in a way we needed this. I mean, I don't know if we thought we were too hot to trot or whatever on our 5-game win streak or whatever it was, but we simply just got beaten every facet of the game.
Man, that was just a very embarrassing performance by us. I think a loss like this was very much needed. I think it's better for us in the grand scheme of the season, and I think we need to get put in check. I think we needed a reality check, and I think that we needed someone kind of just remind us, that we still have a lot of ball left, and I mean nothing's gonna be given. We gotta go out there and take everything.
If this was week 6, I'd buy it.
Okay.
I don't buy it this late in the season. I don't buy it. The last month of the season, you should be trying to peak and get to a level where you're playoff ready. And to get embarrassed, curb stomped away, they just got curb stomped. They're not going to forget that. That's going to leave a mark, and to me it raises questions. I've already had questions about Dak.
Say it.
But to me, it raised questions about their defensive front four and just their defense. Is their defense as great as we thought it was with a front four that, to me, the last couple of weeks just hasn't been getting to the quarterback?
Yeah, I'm not concerned about this team. A team ahead of schedule, let's just say it for what it is. A team that was desperate to the point where they traded and gave up a first rounder, got Amari Cooper. Things started to work out for them. If you look at them, they needed this reality check because of really the dynamic of their organization and being in Dallas. Like, I played in Dallas. It was real quick, but I was there. Woo! The NFL, every one of us is one in a million. Every single individual, you play on one of the 32 teams, you have made it. But when you play in Dallas, there are extremes that no other organization deals with in terms of how they treat their players. The highs are higher and the lows are lower. I think this was a team that was going on a 5-game winning streak, and as Jerry even said it, we played a Super Bowl game already. It was against New Orleans. And you talked about the hangover effect it may have. And I think that this team needed to get hit with reality because there are bigger stakes and there are bigger games to play going forward. I like the fact that they all admitted post-game, you know what, we were riding a little high on that horse. No one raises their hand ever to get smacked in the mouth, but after that point, you kind of look at the blood you got on your lip and you say, you know what, that was all right for this. I think this team will respond because of what they had to deal with in these last 5 weeks. They got a little out of sorts, a little ahead of themselves. Now they're back to reality.
You know, you said reality. I mean, the reality of it is it's hard to go donut this day and age in the league. I mean, you got to try your best to not score. And, you know, the simple fact is they didn't have any help from Dak. This team's been relying on that defense for the last several weeks, and they couldn't do enough, and then Dak didn't do anything. That's what the problem. If he would have just done enough for the defense to kind of get some hope. You know how it is. You go out and play 3 quarters of football, and you get worn down. You got nothing left, and your offense is just not doing anything. Now your whole mentality changed in that fourth quarter. Yeah. You're going out there saying, man, we're doing everything we possibly can, and we still can't get anything done. Then the whole team morale gets taken down. That's what happened in this game. Dak just didn't do anything, and I'm not putting it all on him, but I'm not okay with it. I'm not scoring. I don't know. I've never been a part of a team where we scored nothing. And especially now, it's hard to score nothing. And this team going into the playoffs with this many games, a couple games left in the regular season, and then they get hit like this is the wrong time. It's way too late to try to figure it out. This ain't the figure out point in time of the year. This is way too late for that. I think it's going to hit them hard going into the playoffs if they get there.
Yeah, well, you said Dak didn't do anything. I mean, Dak looked like he used to look before he got Amari Cooper back. And this is what the defense did. They said, okay, we're going to take away Amari Cooper. We're going to figure this out. Okay, you guys been on this streak. That's what defenses do. Let's take away Amari Cooper. Let's, as much as we can, you can put 2 guys on him, and defensively, you can take out a player if you really, really want to and say, let's stack the box and stop Ezekiel Elliott. You take those 2 guys away, Dak is not that effective. And by the way, going into this game, they were supposed to lose this game, according to the boys in the desert, in Vegas. They were the dogs, so nobody even thought they were going to win. And I picked them to lose yesterday, and they ended up losing. So, actually, I picked them to win.
You picked them to win. I saw
I picked them to win.
Yeah.
And
That was
one
of your 2
So
picks.
they cost me on my show.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's the recipe for the rest of the year going against the Cowboys. They're going to have to get that fixed because Dak Prescott, we've sat up here and we've talked about him. He is not that franchise quarterback. He hasn't shown it yet. He's tried to show it the last 5 games, but what happens when Cole Beasley is a guy who needs to step up. They better start to develop a package for him when they take away Amari Cooper or somebody else on that team doesn't step up, because otherwise defenses are going to do exactly what the Indianapolis Colts did.
As much as they took away Amari Cooper, I thought the game and the offense really swung on a couple of awful throws by Dak. The one on the goal line to the running back, where the running back takes all the flack, he whiffed on the pass. But it was a weird pass. You expect that ball to be up on you and to be thrown with a little fire under. He lofts one, and the guy whiffs trying to catch it. Then there's the downfield pass on an critical, I think, 3rd down, where Dak, again, lofted the ball, put too much air on it, because he doesn't have confidence. I'm just telling you, any other quarterback just flings it. He's trying, let me put some room for error into these throws. Even if it's off target, there's enough room for the receiver to adjust. Those 2 critical plays, I thought, submarine their offense and screen. When you get in the film room with all your teammates and they watching the film, they see it for what it is. Like, hey, man, you should have put them balls on us.
Yeah, and talk about that and how it really affects the entire team. we speak ad nauseum about the limitations of Dak. But like you said, in that quiet film room with the all 11 up there, all 22, and you staring, and there's no sound in those film rooms, only coaches yelling. Or coaches protecting some players because we know we don't have any options, Dak Prescott. You're just sitting there like, okay, leading receivers 40 yards yesterday, 42 yards. Like, you're just sitting there like there are throws to be made that he is not making. So as we talked about before, quarterbacks are judged like, do we win because of you? Do we win in spite of you? Or do we win with you? And Dak, that win streak was with Dak, but they never won because of Dak. Playoff football, we're going to need for you to make these throws. We're going to need for you to do something outside our norm. And Dak hasn't shown a record of doing that.
All right, welcome back, Whitlock and Wiley. Tony Gonzalez and Sean Merriman are back. Let's move to the L.A. Coliseum, where Nick Foles pulled another rabbit out of his hat. Shocking the football world with a huge win over the Rams. The Eagles have been in Super Bowl hangover mode all season and were double-digit underdogs with Carson Wentz on the sidelines. But the champs seem to come alive with Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles back under center. The team has already announced Foles will start this week against the Texans. This is not a good look, in my opinion, for Carson Wentz. I think that Nick Foles invites Doug Peterson to call a better game, a more balanced attack. They run the football more with Foles out there. And then I think that Nick Foles runs the actual offense and does less freelancing than a Carson Wentz or a guy with more talent. And so I don't think it's an incredible fluke. When I saw this line right before kickoff at 13.5, 14 points, I was like, man, this is insane. And sure, I didn't think the Eagles were going to win, but they weren't getting blown out with Nick Foles in here. And I don't think it's a great look for Carson Wentz.
It's not a good look for Carson Wentz. I'm going to give you the adage I think every single starter in NFL has had in their mindset, which is, if you're my backup, I want you good enough where you don't hurt the team, but not good enough where you hurt me either. You know what I mean? Like, land safely between them two places. Don't be out there outballing me when I'm on the sidelines. That's all I got to say about that. This is interesting. You nailed it. The numbers support what you said in terms of play calling. This team, Super Bowl hangover and all, has only had one blowout loss. One. Every other one of them games have been one possession, close games. So they've been right there in the fold. But what happens when you have Nick Foles out there versus Carson Wentz? The run-pass ratio comes back to a balanced attack. 54% and 46% run when it's Nick Foles. But when it's Carson Wentz and in the losing efforts, you see it higher, up to 70 and 30. So out of balance with Carson Wentz because he can improv, because he can get outside the pocket and make those throws. But it seems like this year, the things have come back to haunt them more so than years past. So to your point, Carson Wentz has to be looking over his shoulder. A guy is running the system better, and the team is responding when he's under center.
I think the team know exactly what Nick Foles is. Nick Foles is a great spark plug. He's one of these guys that you have Carson Wentz go down, he can step in there like last year and play well for a couple games. He's fun to play with. He's like playing backyard football out there. He's running around. He's more exciting in the huddle. It's less militant when Nick Foles is in the game. Nick Foles is a great backup. He's not a great starter. If he started from game one and he was the guy, the number one guy that had to go out and win games, I don't think he can win. I don't think he can get this team to where they need to be. Now, if Carson Wentz goes down and he gets hurt, Nick Foles, let's throw him in the game. He'll get us hyped up. It's fun. He runs around. He can call the playbook. The playbook is open. We got a breath of fresh air. But if he starts from day one, and the only reason why I'm saying this is because I played it with a guy, Fitzpatrick, when I was in Buffalo. He will light you up 4 or 5 games, have a great game. In Tampa, what did he do when Jameis Winston went down? He'll light you up. Fitz magic. Just do what he need to do. But he can't go in there and play the same way and produce as a starter.
Sean, we're having a different discussion, though. This isn't about whether Nick Foles should be ahead of Wentz. I just think this says something bad about Wentz. Obviously, Wentz is their guy, but I don't know if they max out with Wentz as their quarterback.
Well, you know what, and if that is the case, and I agree with you. I think it does make Carson Wentz look bad, and for the reason that you guys just said. But that falls on the coach, and that falls on Carson Wentz to me. It's like, remember Michael Jordan was scoring all those points at the beginning of his career. And until you get a coach in there that says, hey, we don't need you to do all that, they need to check themselves. And Jordan, I think, started to check himself and say, I shouldn't have to be carrying this team. LeBron does that too. Like, hey, I don't want to carry everybody. Let's get everybody involved until it's crunch time. Then I can take over. I think that's what he's doing with the Lakers so far this year. He's moving into that role. And that's what they need to do with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a great football player.
Yes.
The only question I have about Carson Wentz going forward is he's starting to become a hurt guy. Okay? And I don't know if that injury bug that he has, the fragile body so far, is hurting his ability to play because obviously Doug Peterson believes in him and calls all those plays, but it's not working. So I don't know. Something has to get fixed in that scenario for me going forward.
But you go and you draft Carson Wentz. You already made your decision on what you want the playbook to be, how you want this team built around him. The front office did this. They already made that decision, so I don't understand if you do have a guy like that, Nick Foles, do you go out and you make that decision? Do you go and start changing things in the way you operate for a guy that's your backup?
I think what we're saying about Carson Wentz, though, Sean, would be like drafting you, and are you a 3-4 linebacker or are you a 4-3 linebacker? And they better run the scheme that works for you if they've drafted you that high. Maybe they're not running the right packages for Carson Wentz to get, one, to protect him and keep him healthy, and for the team to have consistency.
And with the Chargers, I was in a 3-4. When I went to Buffalo, I had to play a 4-3, and that's why I'm sitting over here right now. That's why we're talking.
We always talk about this. We always talk about this.
He retired in Buffalo.
Yeah, but it worked before, though. But with Carson Wentz, it's worked before, you know. And you're looking at it, it's like Austin Powers. And you saw the words coming out of that locker room when Nick Foles went in there. It's like, hey, we got our mojo back, you know. It's Austin Powers screaming that. I think there's something about Nick Foles. It's like you said, there's a spark plug there, but I think that falls on Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson to say, look, we shouldn't have to put Nick Foles in there because Carson Wentz, I think clearly he's a better quarterback. He was an MVP candidate last year. He can do it, but there's something going on at the top, I would say.
I will indict Doug Peterson. And look, he's properly motivated to believe in Carson Wentz and play him to the degree he does and have that out of balance play calling experience because coordinators in this league don't get their names out there. They don't become head coaches with a great running attack. Like, think about it. Seattle has a great running attack. Go ahead, old coordinator in Seattle right now. Like,
Brian Schottenheimer, but I got
you know that, but people at home didn't know that. So the whole point of it is, like, they get their motivation and they get their promotion a lot by their attachment and marriage to that quarterback position. I think he's just doing too much for Carson Wentz, especially this year. Coming off an injury, you saw Carson Wentz pressing a little bit. He's pressing in his play calling. Carson Wentz pressing in his ability to return to form, and it wasn't a recipe for success.
All right, to last night's other quarterback, Jared Goff, who had a rough night and has actually had a rough month with the most picks and the worst passer rating in the NFL over the last 3 games to go along with only 1 touchdown pass. As bad as those Jared Goff numbers are, and they're bad, and to me, their bigger concern is defense.
All right.
They have all of this all-star plethora of defensive talent that's not delivering. I can make excuses for Jared Goff. You know, no Cooper Kupp. Gurley got a little banged up last night. Brandon Cooks. You know, I can make excuses. That defense, I don't get. With all that personnel, they should be playing better.
Especially with Wade Phillips there, who I swear by, who afforded me a many of plays and a many of play calls that supported my talents and many others. So it's hard for me to blame Wade Phillips, but if you look at this defense, they're playing lesser than the sum of its parts. Like, you look at the name value and then you look at the production, you're like, what is going on? But for me, that's the evergreen answer because this entire year the defense has performed below standard based on expectation. But they still were the Hollywood Rams. They still were a team that went through the shootout and beat KC, all that. So I'm like, what is different? Not what the real reason is. What's different is Jared Goff. Since that shootout with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, his numbers have not been good. Yesterday, we saw incompletions that if you don't watch the game, you may say, oh, just a couple of incompletions. But there were points taken off the board because of those inaccurate throws. One to Todd Gurley in the end zone, one to Everett down the sideline. Even Chris Collinsworth was like, hey, man, that's a layup in the NBA world. You have to make those kind of throws. And even that throw right there, Jared Goff has made more difficult throws in prime time, and we've seen it. So Jared Goff in the last 3 games and his inaccuracy has really been the difference maker and why this team is not performing up to optimal standard?
I look at this kid's in a slump right now.
Yeah,
And, that's what it looks like to me. Because he's got players out there. I know you said they're a little banged up, but everybody gets banged up in the NFL. That's the nature of this business. So I think if I'm more concerned, and looking at that defense too, they have the players. At least on the stat sheet, they got the Marcus, Aqib Talib, the Aaron Donald, all that stuff on Dominican Sue, and it makes me question Wade Phillips a little bit. And I hate calling out Wade Phillips.
Oh, this side of the table object, Your Honor. We
I know
object.
you guys love him. Hey, I love him too, okay? But what? There's something going on. There's something going on. Why are they not be able to consistently stop people? They should be the top defense in the NFL, according to the names and the playmaking ability. Those guys aren't old guys on that side of the ball, too. No. And I think it goes back to you got all these great players. Sometimes you can – I'm not saying he's mailing it in. But you're saying, okay, this guy is so good that I can put him in that position where I trust him. But sometimes it's not. You still have to come up with a good scheme to go along with the players that you have.
Yeah, no, I have to agree on one thing, and it's going to hurt to say this a little bit.
I'm listening.
Wade Phillips. It's going to – this is the thing with Wade, and it has been for his whole entire career. If you look at the history of Wade Phillips, even back in Buffalo, who did you play with in Buffalo? They rushed the passer, one of the best of –
Bruce Smith.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Dallas, he had DeMarcus Ware. You know, you had – when I was with the Chargers, you had all these guys who can rush the passer from the outside. He doesn't have that anymore. His two best pass rushers are inside. These guys, if you see them on certain plays, and nothing against Aaron Donald, he's the best defensive lineman in football. He's running clear up the field. And I know that you get paid nowadays for sacking the quarterback, but you can't do that. If you do that, you're going to get gashed. They got nobody else on the outside. They're missing stars in certain positions. They got Marcus Peters. They have Sue. They have Aaron Donald. But they haven't collectively played good as a team. They haven't played good team football yet, even though they have great individual talent. Wade Phillips has been great at that in the past, in merging all these personalities, these individuals who are really good on the field. But they haven't found a way to play together yet as a defense. And it kind of hurt me to say something bad about Wade, because that's probably the first time I've ever said anything.
Let me ask the question then. Why are we attacking Wade and not he's making less than all these players with the big names we're talking about? That to me, and this was my question, and Les Snead and I talked about this before the season. I kept saying, man, Sean McVay, young guy, Wade Phillips, experienced guy, and with a great reputation, you start thinking you can coach any and everybody. Hey, Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, and Dominican Sue. I know y'all had character problems other places, but I'm Sean McVay. This is Wade Phillips. We can coach any and everybody, and I've just never believed that.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting? The facts aren't. You ever talk about Wade again?
I know.
That hurt.
Yeah, no, it
but
hurt me a
he's
little
onto
bit too.
some. Wade's scheme has always been built from outside in, and this team, Wade never needed inside linebackers. He needed outside rushers or defensive ends and strong corners. You give me that? Talib's injury killed him. But look at the numbers and points allowed during this slump for the Rams. 16, 15, and then 30. That's not horrible defense, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what's horrible is really Jared Goff. Like, they have won games giving up 51. So you don't want to give up 51 as a D coordinator, but this is not the time to hang Wade Phillips out to dry, because he's like 16, 15, and then 30, and look at what we're doing on the other side of the ball. So a little bit of upside down football right here, because the defense is starting to shore up, but then Jared Goff is starting to miss those throws that usually leads to success and victory for him.
Whitlock and Wiley, Tony Gonzalez and Michael Vick are back. Let's move to Chicago, where the Packers' season of disappointments continued yesterday with a loss to the Bears that eliminated them from the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers struggled to get much going, throwing for exactly 0 touchdowns and seeing his record streak of 402 passes without an interception come to an end. After the game, former Packer great Leroy Butler called out Rodgers, tweeting, quote, "I mean, really, if you can't outplay Mitch Trubisky, how good are you? Aaron's only job is to outplay the other quarterback. Agree? You will never win scoring 17 points." Butler tried to walk back the comment today, but he's now the 4th former Packer in recent weeks to call out Aaron Rodgers.
How do you walk that back, though? How do you walk that back?
What
did he say? Actually, I didn't mean it.
Leroy.
No, Leroy walked that back. Leroy wouldn't have walked that back. You know what I'm saying? Leroy walked that back. No more season tickets.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, man. There's a lot of smoke around Aaron Rodgers. I've never seen a player this great to have this many guys talk trash on him. Former teammates, former guys associated with the Packers. It just screams like, wow, this dude must be really difficult. Because to be that much of a baller and to have people that comfortable taking pot shots, he don't buy nobody Christmas gifts.
He ain't looking out for nobody. Look, the truth shall come to light, right? It's interesting, though, this dynamic. Think about it. None of them are active. None of them are teammates. Like, everyone waits till they get outside of his presence, and then the shots come. So that tells me something in favor of Aaron Rodgers. Like, if you really got beef with me, we could beef it out while we're teammates. I know that he is the most powerful figure out there in Wisconsin. I get all that. But still, I don't see these shots coming in direct line and direct contact with Aaron Rodgers. There's always someone on the outside, someone who didn't play with him, Leroy, or someone who has left and then now wants to say, hey, let me just even this scenario. But this is not alarming by the question. This is not alarming. We knew this from day one. In part, why he dropped in the draft was this same narrative that has continued throughout his entire illustrious career. So this is not alarming. I've been on the outside. I've been outside, and then the fire alarm goes off, and everyone runs outside, and you're like, oh, you don't have the same panic because you were never in that danger. I've never played with Aaron Rodgers, so everything I say is from either other people who have played with him or the perspective of outside looking in. But alarming? He seems like he's just a tough teammate. He's hard to deal with, and we've all played with those type of guys.
Well, as a quarterback, I think you're taught to be hardened. You know, that position does that to you, and you expect so much out of yourself that you demand a lot from others. And, of course, Aaron has done some uncharacteristic things. And just watching the game yesterday, balls sailing over guys' heads, passes that he never usually missed. Like, he's just out of rhythm. But, you know, in regards to Leroy's comments, I mean, look, you can say whatever you want to say. Until you line up behind the center and know what it's like, it's not about outplaying the other quarterback. It's about playing as a team. And I've never seen Aaron Rodgers complain about his offensive line. I never thought he had a great offensive line. Never seen him complain about having a running back. So as a quarterback, not just coming to his defense, but I don't think everyone should start taking shots at him now. Look, he's been the leader of this team for a long time, and he'll continue to be for the next up-and-coming years. But we just got to let this whole situation play out in this season, get it over with, go into the off season, make some changes, and see what happens.
Yeah. And speaking of, first of all, I'm not alarmed by anybody calling him out because this is who he is. Just like you said, this is Aaron Rodgers. He's just being who he is. He's always had that chip on his shoulder. He went to a JC college. Nobody wanted him out of high school.
Sat in the draft room.
He sat in the draft. He had to sit behind Brett. This is just who he is. And then when he doesn't have that success, we have such a high standard for this guy. And when it's not there, we start taking shots at him. And maybe some of them are right. I mean, I talk about $33 million at this point in your career. Are you really going to get the players once somebody gets hurt? We can go to these arguments, but I got a feeling, and this is where I will go to bat for Aaron Rodgers. Phenomenal talent, probably the best tangibles ever as a quarterback. And he's played outstanding as well. He's backed it up too. He's got the brain and he's got everything. He's a 10 brain, 10 legs, 10 arm, everything. So he's, like you said, he's in the middle of a horrible season. It's like an actor, like Tom Hanks, making all these great movies. You make one bad one. He's in the middle of his bad movie. And this offseason, he's going to pick the right script. I think he's going to do some things. And I got a feeling he's going to come out next year and play lights out. Sure. Sometimes this is good for the soul to go through this downturn because it brings you back to who you really, really want to be, forces you to look into the mirror. And Aaron, I have no doubt he's going to bounce back from this. But this season, it's a wash. It's over. Bad movie.
Okay.
He gets no Oscar.
Bad movie.
I agree. He will return to be a great player. But is it you're one of the all-time great players, and all these former Packers or people associated with you, and your reputation's this dirty. Is it just a case? Does he not take his teammates out for beers? Does he not? I'm serious. Does he not kick it with them? What is going? I don't understand the disconnect that you could be that damn good on the field. Normally, that corrects all problems. Yeah. If you, if you know he ain't carpooling with you to work, but damn, he balls out. Yeah. Who cares? that something's going on here that he just doesn't seem to connect with players at all.
I'm agreeing with that because if you play with a great player who doesn't go out of his way to be your best friend, you are okay with that because that's part of the expectation of greatness. Like, he's locked in his zone. He's doing his own thing. Or, hey, he's here for one reason and he takes care of business. I'm not mad. It's when that same great player goes out of his way to make this an uncomfortable situation and dynamic is when all of a sudden you hear those type of shots because we've all played with great players, and let's be real, you guys were great players. So it takes an effort to get to the place where people are like, yo, I got a real problem with him because from the vantage point of someone looking at a great player, you kind of expect some of the noise that comes with that greatness. But when it gets to this level and it's this excessive, that means he's doing something to get out of the norm to make these players feel this certain way.
Some of these issues have to be addressed by Aaron Rodgers because you got to think about it. Free agency is right around the corner, and you want guys that want to come in and play with you, and not want to feed into the things that they've heard or believe it. You know, that's big. I mean, that's something that's paramount right now. He has to, I'm not saying address the media, but there has to be circulated that he's not that guy, you know, that everybody think he is as far as negativity-wise.
I love that. I think that's a big deal right there.
Yeah.
I mean, if he really wants to finish out his career over these next 3, 4, 5, whatever it is that he's got left, he better start to work on some crisis management, some rehabilitation of my reputation, because people aren't going to want to go. Green Bay's not as great. I've been to Green Bay. Nothing against you Green Bay folks out there. I wouldn't want to go there unless I was like, hey, you will play in the Super Bowl. You will be an NFC Championship game, and I want to play with somebody that I actually kind of like. And that's Aaron.
The only guy that I can remember, and he wasn't on Aaron Rodgers' level, but it's like Donovan McNabb dealt with a little bit of this. It wasn't just T.O. that didn't like him in the locker room.
Douglas.
Yeah, there was a few guys, and like that's the only thing I can remind me of this. But
It's not good.
Yeah. All right, welcome back, Whitlock and Wiley. Michael Vick and Sean Merriman are back. Let's move to Baltimore, where the Ravens beat the Buccaneers yesterday and are now 4-1 since Lamar Jackson took over as starter. Jackson once again did a lot of damage with his legs, becoming the first quarterback to ever rush for at least 70 yards in 5 straight starts. And he's now got the Ravens at 8-6, good enough for the last wild card spot in the AFC. Is Lamar Jackson a franchise quarterback is the question. Lamar Jackson is the right quarterback for the Ravens to close out this season to save John Harbaugh's job. I got to tip my hat to John Harbaugh. They're using this kid to save his job, and they're running it down people's throat. This past Sunday's the first time I felt like Lamar looked like a dynamic runner. First time I was like, oh, okay, I see the little Vic. We got a tall Vic out here. Yeah. I saw a little of that this week. Earlier, I hadn't seen that. But is he a franchise quarterback? Man, he had 18 carries again this past weekend. It's just too much. And eventually they're going to catch him.
There's something to zigging when everyone else is zagging. And everyone is out there throwing the ball and throwing it at accelerated rates to the point where it can even come back to haunt those teams that are pass happy. If you're committed to the running game, he's a franchise quarterback. If you're committed to a playbook that's going to be signature Lamar Jackson and personnel decisions around that same commitment, he's a franchise quarterback. We all know the benefits of the run game. You tell me this all the time. And I want to fight it because the passing game is just so much easier. Like, do you want to run for 5 yards? You just want to throw a little short pass and get 7. I understand the benefits of the passing game, but the benefits of the running game have not gone away. Time of possession. And it's going to give a jolt of energy to your defense. I don't care what team you're on. Yep. If we're pounding the ball, it's going to feel great on the other side of the ball if I'm a defender. On top of how it defeats a team that's trying to deal with this. So if they're committed to Lamar Jackson, and this isn't just a one-off, yes, he's a franchise quarterback.
I think Lamar's a franchise quarterback. If they commit to this style of play, this type of offense, whether it's pistol, wildcat, regardless of what, he still has to make good decisions, whether he's handing it off, whether he's pulling it, whether he's, they're faking it and bootlegging it, whatever they decide to do within the offense, because they're not pushing the ball down the field. Everything is, short passes, get it out of his hands quick. But it's confusing and it's working. I don't know how long it can last as far as the plays that you can come up with and put together to continue to look this dynamic. But if you got the right coaches in place, in which Marty Morningwig has done a great job, and Greg Roman, I mean, they can do this for a long time, and then they can just continue to expand the offense and continue to do more and more, and who knows where it can go. So I would say, as of right now, Baltimore is in a really good place at the quarterback position.
Yeah, you're right, and it's a Band-Aid for these guys, which I think most of us will take that Band-Aid to stop bleeding in a second. And, like you said, Marcellus, on the defense side of the ball, I'm okay with the quarterback run, especially when you're young and the game is still fast when you can't figure out coverages and you're still kind of working your way in. The quickest way to get away from everything is using your legs. You can get you out of any problem you have. Guys dropping back, linebackers, DBs dropping back, not expecting your quarterback to run. He takes off running, get you that big first down to keep the drive moving. The defense, we're jumping up or down on the sidelines. We're happy as hell. This is the problem. What's going to start happening? Defense is going to get smarter. They're going to start spying them. A D-lineman going to stay in there. A linebacker going to stay in there and start spying them where they're going to force him to throw the ball. Then he's still going to try to run the ball and get hit too many times. He's going to start getting hurt. That's what we've seen it out of RG3. We've seen it out of a lot of these quarterbacks early that we thought that were just going to be the next best thing. And what happens is, especially with these running quarterbacks, these hits add up. I couldn't wait to see a running quarterback that I actually can get a chance to have a shot on, because I know that one shot might not hurt him, but next time he run the ball, he's going to be thinking in the back of his head, I'm going to get hit. I got to get out of bounds, or I got to throw this ball away. They're fine for it right now. The defense is playing well. They got some studs on the defensive line. They got a great defense to go out there and get the job done, and that can get you some games and win you some football games. But what's going to happen is when those hits start to add up, that's when the problem's going to kick in.
Well, I don't want to go injury. I remember we had a great conversation, numbers supporting it, where we always say that the safest place on the football field is in the pocket. Until you see a Peyton Manning go down, and he had to miss his entire season plus. You see a Tom Brady miss his season. Then you see mobile quarterbacks. There's an RG3 that got injured. We could talk about Aaron Rodgers has been injured. But there's no safe place on that football field. Let's just be real. Now, you're going to play with the percentages. I get that. I love the fact that this team, in 4 of their 5 last ball games, they have run for 200-plus yards. Like Barry Switzer wishbone numbers. And then in the one that they didn't, they had 194. Controlling tempo, dictating terms, keeping me off script, because if I'm a pass-happy team or a traditional team in today's NFL, guess what happens? I don't know what to do. You're just shrinking my time and my opportunities and my possessions. They're doing a magnificent job of this, but the commitment, because this is not sexy ball, and there's a lot of people in the organization have to sign off on this type of ball, which is ground and pound, which is usually not sustainable in today's game.
I tell you what, the Baltimore Ravens defense is enjoying every minute of this.
Oh, yeah.
I've been a part of offenses where we'll come out in Philly, and I love playing with Andy, pass happy. We'll throw it 3 plays in a row. I might throw 3 incompletions, and the defense is right back out. You 3 runs, 3 first downs, or 2 runs and a couple. However it comes into play, these guys are getting rest and they're well rested. But this is the thing that I know will potentially happen for the Baltimore Ravens going into the offseason. Teams will have a chance to sit down and say, okay, what did they do? And they'll look at it, and the first 4 teams, they may have to play a game plan strictly for this. So it's good for right now. In the future, they will have to make changes.
They're going to get their comeuppance even quicker, probably this weekend. They've played 5 of the 8 worst run defenses during his start. They're about to play the San Diego Chargers.
L.A. Chargers that represent.
Yeah. The L.A. Chargers in the series defense. I think there's going to be a problem this weekend. Time to get antisocial on a Monday. My favorite segment. Darnell Smith, our social media editor. Just the kid.
That's all I am.
That's all you are?
Eastside legend.
Eastside legend?
Yes, sir.
Eastside
Google
legend.
me.
No question about that.
Well, you on fire this weekend.
All right, Darnell. What's popping on those Twitter streets?
Man, a lot of crazy football this weekend. But first, I want to start with something our guy Marcellus posted. I stumbled across this video of Marcellus dancing at the holiday party.
I ain't talking about
comparing himself to Usher with these moves. That's
Wait
a little
minute.
too far, probably. We see a lot of dancing videos and clips go viral online. Marcellus reminds me of OBJ right here. Y'all think dancing Marcellus will be the next big thing?
Whoa. How y'all get Usher or OBJ out of this? How y'all just jump over Carlton from the Fresh Prince? I mean,
You going there?
let's just start there.
And Carlton had that rhythm, though. Don't let that fool you. Hey, dog, y'all got to admit, a little light on them toes right there, huh? Your boy,
Yeah, he kinda smooth.
He kind of smooth, right? That simple sexy, too. I'm hitting y'all with that little subtle sexy. Nah, a little bit. No.
You said nah?
I mean, not much Whitlock.
Nah,
Whitlock.
look,
No.
trust me.
Anything Whitlock here?
Far better than anything I would do on the dance floor.
Oh,
So,
man. They call me Big Usher. If I got my white towel out and I'm in them streets, oh, it's a problem. Big Usher coming
Who's
out.
they?
Huh?
Who's
Yeah,
they?
who's
What'd you say?
Yeah, who's
West
that?
Side legend over here, man. You better represent.
Big Usher, I'm not here. Homie the clown, man.
Stop that.
Leave me alone.
All right, Darnell, what's next?
Yeah, now moving on to some football. Seahawks kicker Sebastian Janikowski is getting roasted online for his ridiculous attempt on the tackle during the kick return.
Hey.
Look, we've all played football. We know that kickers are rarely in this position. But personally, I thought this was soft. The Seahawks obviously agree with me, posting this stale face emoji afterwards. Y'all got any issue with this business decision here?
I do. And again, I don't think he should make the tackle.
Yeah.
I do think he should get in the guy's way.
Exactly.
All he had to do was stop and get in the guy's way. He doesn't even have to use his arms, anything, because help was on the way.
Yep.
If this dude has to slow down at all, help is on the way. And he just said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to step out of bounds. He's acting like he's a quarterback and he's that fragile. The dude is like 6'3", 280 pounds.
Yes.
He ain't going to get, he's not going to get hurt.
Yeah, he's bigger than the actual returner on this play.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Look, I know he's old and he's been injured of late, so maybe he's thinking long game, but at the same time, just bump into him, just run into him. What he is doing is something they instruct quarterbacks to do is like just turn them inside. If you turn them inside to the numbers, maybe we can make the play. But if he would have just bumped him and made him notice him and stride and slow down to just go accelerate, they would have made that play. So I'm with you with that's a bad look.
But see, I don't even think he has to make contact. I'm just saying just stop on the field.
Right.
Right.
Just let him go
and
right.
make that guy have to make a cut or a move,
Right,
anything
yeah.
that would have slowed him down. He ain't got to touch nobody. That, you know, look, it's a regular season, but it's a game that literally that could cost them the playoffs. They could have clinched the playoff berth there.
Come on,
you
big
know that's right there. I'm not gonna go as far as Cam Newton not getting on that fumble in the Super Bowl, but you know,
That's
it's in
still
that
the one.
lane.
That's
Right.
still the one. That's in that lane.
It's in that lane.
That one.
All right, Darnell, what's next?
That's they one.
Right. Let's talk a little Baker Mayfield, who led the Browns to a big win against the Broncos Saturday night. And believe it or not, he actually has Cleveland in the playoff hunt. Twitter obviously loves Baker, and one local Cleveland radio producer even went so far as to compare his rookie year numbers to Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, and Big Ben. Guys, is Baker running away with the rookie year award?
Yeah, I think the only other candidate is Saquon Barkley, perhaps.
What do you mean the only other? I mean, that's, yeah, you're right. Lamar Jackson, if you really want to go there, if you're going to respect his rushing numbers. Saquon is his to lose. Baker's going to have the team success that supports his numbers, but Saquon's numbers in a vacuum are better than what Baker's doing. But the team is not doing as well, so how do you vote?
Well, my deal is one plays quarterback, one plays running back in a quarterback league.
Good
One
point.
guy has the ball in his hands all the time. And again, I haven't followed Saquon this year because I haven't paid that much attention to the Giants.
A lot of defenders have.
But,
They all following him.
but Baker Mayfield is just a nice little interesting story.
It is.
And see the Cleveland Browns, what did they win, one game in 2 years?
Yeah, yeah.
And now have won 6,
Yeah.
I think now. I don't, when you say Saquon's running away with, how? He must be Usain Bolt because Baker Mayfield is like, wow.
I'm not as sophisticated with my voting. I'm just as simple as this. Who's playing better? Saquon's playing better. Unfortunately, it's not translating to team success. But Baker has team success. That's going to probably be the thing that takes him over top. Not for my vote. But for everyone else.
Is Saquon playing better than Baker Mayfield?
Yes, by far, in my opinion. And you got to remember, Baker didn't start every single game. The first couple wins didn't go to him with Tyrod Taylor. So you got to remember that as well. So
They had 2 wins with Tyrod Taylor. Is that facts?
I'm pretty. The first.
Social media facts.
Maybe they had.
Twitter all
They had
facts.
1 win and 1 tie.
Hey, that
That's
tie
on
ain't
the
a
record.
loss. That ain't a loss.
That ain't a loss.
That ain't a loss.
It looks good.
Yeah, Saquon for MVP.
Baker Mayfield. All right, go ahead.
All right. You talked the Eagles-Rams game earlier, but I got another story from that game. Fans seem to be heckling Marcus Peters, and Peters came over and gave him a piece of his mind. A lot of not safe for work language in this video. Let's just say they weren't making dinner plans. We've seen a lot of these situations lately, and the videos always go viral. Y'all think fans are starting stuff just to get clicks?
I think players are doing things just to get clicks. I think fans have been heckling athletes for years and decades, and they should be ignored. There's only one person in this video that's getting paid $10, $12 million to be inside that stadium, and it's Marcus Peters. You know, one of my father's favorite statements that I use, dollars don't chase dimes. And so he's got dollars. What's he doing getting up out of that seat going to argue and bicker with a dime? That's crazy to me, and it goes back to a conversation we had a week or two ago about what are these athletes thinking? They can't win here. He's dropping the N-word. He's cussing at the dude. This ain't a good look for Marcus Peters or football players.
Can I just say one thing to your daddy?
Yeah.
When I got my dollars, all I did was chase dimes. And I ain't even say, you got to chase me because I got the dollars. I was like, nope. I am a man of chivalry, and I will chase you, dime. Marcus Peters, man, if there's a button to push that is easier than most, is Marcus Peters. Like, every fan knows that. This is a horrible look for the player. You can't take the bait. It's just as simple as that. They're throwing the cheese out there, and these players are taking the bait, and you just got to be smarter than that in that moment, especially when you're playing a game where you can let out your frustrations. Why are you going in the stands to talk through it when I go on this field and act it out? So I don't get this. I hope these players stop this.
I want to clear this up for my father, who I'm sure is watching in heaven. He had a lot of dimes chasing him.
I bet he did.
My father's one of the best-looking human beings America's ever created.
What happened? What happened?
I don't know.
What happened?
I got beat with the ugly stick, I guess, to make up for it.
That's some karma.
All right, Darnell, what's next?
Last but not least, first things first this morning, Chris Carter and Nick Wright was reacting to the Vikings win with their new OC. Take a listen.
It's pretty simple. They fired the last guy for not running the ball, so what are they going to do? Anyone with a brain would know that they're going to run the ball.
Going into this game, they were passing the ball literally 2 out of every 3 plays. This game, they ran the ball literally 2 out of every 3 plays. I mean, they totally flipped it. This should be the script. You didn't get Kirk Cousins because you needed a savior at quarterback. You got Kirk Cousins because you needed a guy in the biggest games. Could he make a few throws? Now, in the biggest games, we'll see if he can.
Whitlock, I know you're a big fan of running the football, but do you think Kirk Cousins and the run-first Vikings can make some noise in the playoffs?
I don't like their offensive line enough to think that they can carry this out for the next couple of weeks. And I certainly don't like Kirk Cousins in the clutch.
Right.
And so, no, I don't see the Vikings as a playoff team this year. They missed their window and ran the wrong offense early in the year.
I think they can. Bottled up all that energy. There's some confidence with this team being in the NFC Championship game just last year. You look at this team, and the Saints, beatable, unless they're in the dome. We'll see how that plays out. Rams, we just saw last night, beatable by a team that's on par with the Vikings. Yes, if I'm on the Vikings team, I'm believing in that.
Uncle Jimmy's here to help us talk about our approval rating for Tom Brady.
Oh, hell no.
Could you let us know what hospital you're working at so we can make sure we avoid it?
Killer King.
You're a doctor now, huh?
Call it what you want to. I'm the original. I'm the original Dr. J, okay?
Put that back on, man, your germs.
Okay?
You can't jump over a phone book, man.
Hey, you know what? It don't matter. I can go over the top and take it to the hole. That's all that matters.
Oh, my goodness.
That's all that matters.
If that's my doctor, I want to die. Lord, take me.
All right, let's look at a highlight from our discussion earlier about Tom Brady.
I'll save you.
For those of you who hate the Patriots, the people who have been waiting for the better part of 2 decades for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady to be brought down a peg, I say be very careful. Very careful. Tamp down your excitement. Don't fall for the okie doke.
I think you're wrong if you're saying it's way too early. The universe whispers before it yells. And right now, it's whispering. These Patriots ain't the same Patriots.
All right, Uncle Jimmy.
Yeah.
Patriots got beat by the Steelers. People are hopping off the Patriots bandwagon. What's your take?
Before I start this, I'm going to ask one quick question. Can we have one serious conversation?
Yeah.
Here on Speak for Yourself.
Yeah,
Yes,
go
please.
ahead. Go ahead.
I'm mainly talking to my damn nephew over there, but anyway.
Here we go.
Listen here. seriously, guys, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, they're suffering from something that most men at this stage in their career go through. It's called ED.
ED? ED? Like, ooh?
Like early dismissal.
Oh.
Early dismissal. And they're
Yeah.
suffering from what's called the early dismissal syndrome.
Yeah, all right.
They're not the first. They're not the last.
Okay.
And but for the grace of God and the genetics straight from the motherland, there too go I. There's no shame in this, guys. Now, seriously. And we need to remove this stigma that is surrounded by ED. And I think, Merk Ellis, I think you'll agree with me.
Hey, look. Hey, man.
I'm just asking, hold on. Now, did you not play with the San Diego Chargers?
Sir, yes, sir.
Did you play with the Buffalo Bills?
Uh-huh, you halfway through it, yep.
And it says here that both of those teams had problems with early dismissal issues.
I'm a survivor of ED, yes.
Well, wait a minute, let's see. It says here that you just couldn't perform when it mattered most.
I've heard that a few times.
Okay.
That's wrong.
Listen, man, we're talking about Tom Brady. We talk about Tom Brady.
Who doesn't suffer from ED?
Hey, man, look, Tom Brady, I don't like that dude.
What?
You don't like Brady?
No, I mean, me and Tom Brady, we two different type cats, man. First of all, I'm too old of a cat to get clawed by a kitten of Tom Brady's caliber. You understand what I'm saying? So we just from two different types of, he can't survive in my world. We from two different types of
He's the oldest quarterback we got. He's as close to you as we got.
That's not the point.
What's different between you and Tom Brady with different styles?
Yeah. Man, look, first of all, let me just put it like this. Tom Brady like thin supermodels. Okay, he like that thin supermodel type. Uncle Jimmy, I'm from Kansas City, it's wintertime. I need something to hold on to. I need something to keep me warm. And damn it to hell, y'all didn't tell me it still get cold out here in L.A.
Oh, yeah, you need a windbreaker.
I need a little something still kind of keep me kind of warm. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just trying to say, and to top it off, Tom Brady, man, what's his wife's name? Gazelle Bundy?
Giselle
Al Bundy's daughter.
Way richer than
Al Bundy's daughter.
Way richer than that.
I'm just trying to say, man, I just need something I can hold on to in the cold winter.
Got you.
Just give me a woman that got a can of Crisco sitting on top of the stove.
Fish.
You understand what I'm saying? That's all I'm talking about, man.
Giselle brings home the bacon, man.
Brings home the bacon.
It ain't the right kind of bacon.
What?
It's not the kind of bacon. She got Tom drinking wheatgrass and all of that right there, man. You know what I'm saying? And she make more money than him.
And your point?
The name of the game, what's the name of the game, Marcellus? Big Bang takes Little Bang. That ain't nothing but trouble. He gonna find out. You think I'm kidding. Y'all keep it up. Tom Brady better get him a side hustle before this football thing is over.
What you saying?
Y'all laughing. Y'all think I'm kidding. Okay, here. I didn't want to do it. Damn it to hell, I got to do it. All right. Here we go. Watch this here. All right, let me watch this. I want to dedicate this song to all the Tom Brady lovers in the house tonight. Ow! You know what I'm saying?
Ow!
And watch this. So when it's cold outside, who are you holding? See, I hear you talking about the things that the Rams got. You're talking about what the Chiefs got, what the Bears got, and you want the Patriots to go out and get them for you. But I'm here to tell you, Tom can't be in two places at one time. So if y'all think y'all lonely now, wait until the playoffs, girl. Sing it with me, Marcellus. If
Bobby
you think y'all lonely now,
Hey, man, the pool
just wait until the playoffs, girl.
I can't say that.
Listen,
They'll be long gone.
86 for Brady overall. I drop him 6 points
major
in
goat.
job performance.
Yeah.
Think I'm kidding.
Yeah, I dropped him 2 points in drop performance, but major GOAT status for him. Still been playing okay to well, even though they've been losing 3 or 5 lately.
I actually have Brady rated higher than you.
That's the
unusual.
first guy that you've ever rated higher than me.
Yeah, I
What
got
that
him
is.
at an 86.
You're gonna be lonely.